Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Spatafor, and I chose to do my research on reality television show programs, and specifically zeroing in on age, sex, gender, and sexuality. I chose this topic because I am an avid fan of reality television show programs, and for the longest time I believed them to be true and wanted to live in a world that these people were. It wasn't until I was older that I realized how untrue these shows are, and I can only imagine the impact that they are having on our younger generation and their vulnerable minds. The shows that I watched were Are You the One, Teen Mom 2, 19 Kids and Counting, Undercover Boss, and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I watched 2 episodes in each series. The shows Are You the One, Teen Mom 2, and 19 Kids and Counting focused in on age. Obviously, Teen Mom 2 was about teen moms struggling to support their newborn babies while also dealing with drama on the side. The show had a tendency to glamorize teen pregnancy, but the producers actually produced it probably to show the hardships of a teen pregnancy. But let's be honest, it's not reality. These moms are being paid to exploit themselves. An online article that I found said that, quote, sexual television can lead to early intercourse onset in those aged from 13 to 20, and in college students can lead them to having more sexual partners. End quote. The article also said research has shown that the impact of television on the youth can be very similar to the impact of violent content. This ties well into Chapter 3 of the TO text that taught us about socialization and how it was important that the family was a major factor in that socialization. I think it's important to monitor what our future children are watching or children now are watching. This way, media isn't having a huge negative impact of socialization on their young minds. Are You the One was then a reality dating show program. Men and women were put into a house, and if they found their perfect pairs, the house won $10 million. The show is very sexually charged, and a research from an online journal found that watching these shows can lead to one-night stands. In Chapter 13, we learned about the HIV/AIDS virus and how it was widely spreading. Airing a show where many people are engaging in one-night stands can seem like a fun thing to a young mind, when in reality it can have some serious consequences, like maybe contracting the HIV/AIDS virus. 19 Kids and Counting then was definitely on the opposite side of the spectrum, showing viewers a family whom had strong Christian values, one of them being to abstain from sex or even kissing until marriage. This show was a great example of the supposed men and women gender roles that we learned about in Chapter 9 of the TO text. The women cooked and cleaned in the house, while the men took care of most of the work outside of the home and did a lot of the heavy-duty work. Many people today still believe that this is how a family should look. And then zeroing in now on sex, gender, and sexuality. Another show I watched was Undercover Boss. The show was just as it sounds. CEOs of large companies went undercover into their companies to see if they could fix anything. In Chapter 7, we learned about social mobility and vertical mobility. Undercover Boss exemplified how hard it can be for minorities and women to climb that ladder to the top. Because if you watched, most of the men were all CEOs, and then the people that he met with in his corporate office were also men. However, an article written by Joan Lloyd said the reality was a great way to see what was really going on in an industry. And I do agree with the author, but I also have to assume that many of the plots in the episodes were staged, especially since each episode was structured the same. And then the last and final show that I watched was Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Basically, 5 homosexual men specializing in certain areas put the swag back into heterosexual men's lives. There was no positive or negative to this show. Basically was, if you agree with the homosexual lifestyle, you would probably watch it. And if you didn't, you would just turn a blind eye. Just kind of showing that we are still living in a society with people who do and do not support our lifestyles. In conclusion, reality television is clearly riddled with false appearances and forced conflict. This in turn is feeding the minds of young, vulnerable children. Reality television is crippling society, and we need to be sure that our younger generation is being taught that this isn't the norm. Thanks for watching.